Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Marty Richards with Richland Center Tourism here, and it's your Wednesday night episode of Why Do We Call It That? Now, things do look a little bit different today, I suspect to you, and my apologies for that. But just to show you what a low-budget operation we are, we're doing it old school. This is a selfie version of Why Do We Call It That? My videographer, who is my wife, Terry, is not available, so it's just me out in the wilderness by myself. We'll see how it goes. If I do block the sign at some point, my apologies, because I didn't want it backwards. I did have to actually do this without looking at the screen, and I'll try not to make my arm shake too much. So here we go. So tonight's episode, we're here in beautiful Hub City. And I'm not saying that jokingly. The area is gorgeous with the rock faces that we get in the features, the Pine River. It's really a cool setting. So Hub City has a storied past. Originally, Hub City was started by James Gormley. James Gormley came along and set up the first sawmill in 1854. He developed that sawmill, and the story of how he did it and everything was really interesting because he literally took dirt, rocks, wood, trees, whatever he had, and dammed up the Pine River and set up his sawmill business. It was quite profitable. He developed the sawmill business a few more years and then added a grist mill to it. The locals started to get to know the area as Gormley Mills. So we're not naming it Hub City quite yet, so it was kind of known as Gormley Mills, although it had not been truly platted yet at that point. So James Gormley goes along for quite a few years, and the business is very profitable. And ultimately, after quite a few years, he sells the business to George Crosscup. So that name should be a little bit familiar, but George Crosscup doesn't plot out his fortune here. He only operates the mill for a couple of years until a purchaser comes and buys the mill from him. And then Crosscup heads south on the Pine River and sets out to start his fortune in Richland Center. He sells the mill to a fellow by the name of T.G. Mant from Stoughton, Wisconsin. And T.G. Mant has a very profitable wagon business in Stoughton. So he sets the mill up to just make wagon wheels, and ultimately he really makes a fortune in his wagon wheel business. Well, when he purchases the mill and the mill starts to become more prolific, a lot of business coming in, the post office gets the attention because they were having to ship mail from Rockbridge. So the post office gets involved, says, hey, we need to name the town so we can get the post office set up. Mant, the nice man he is, comes along and says, well, hey, why don't we call it Mantville? The post office nixes that, says that's not going to work. And they say, we will call this town from this point forward Stalwart. Yes. So the post office gave the village the name Stalwart. That only lasted a couple of years. The locals did not like it at all. And really what happened was, through just practical purposes, because of the fine hubs that were being made here, the wagon wheels that were being made here, the town became known as Hub City. Ultimately, the United States government and the Wisconsin government allowed the post office to change its name to Hub City. And because of the fine, and really became well known nationally for wagon wheels that were being made here, Hub City did get its name through that. Now, there's an alternative version to how Hub City got its name as well. There is a version that Mr. Mant's daughter tells, that T.G. Mant had a business associate or a friend in Chicago by the name of Hub Atkins, and she had claimed somewhat that that's how it got its name. But most of the locals and really the United States government also agrees it did get its name because of the fine wagon wheels that were being created here and for the hubs of those wheels. So that is why we call it Hub City, Wisconsin. And if you're in the area, we do encourage you, go visit Hub City, because Hub City is home to the hash burger at Turbo's. You'll want to check that out. Also, if you're primitive camping and you need showers, there are restrooms and showers here at the park in Hub City. And when COVID-19 goes away, there are also a couple of really cool celebrations that are held here in the town. So I hope I didn't make you nauseous with the movement of the camera tonight, and my apologies. I probably blocked the sign most of the way through, but thank you for sticking with us. I'm Marty Richards with Richland Center Tourism. Have a great evening.